These teams have not shown much in the 2016 season.
Yeah, not much at all. We'll see, though, what's going to happen here in the pick ban. We can see Kongdoo Monster over on the blue side. No surprise. First ban is going to be that Lee Sin, so keeping it out of Flawless's hands as expected. It's near 100% ban rate against him, I believe, this season. He's got it a couple times, obviously, but teams trying to keep him down. So we'll have to see if this is going to be a Varus ban as well away from Edge. Would not be surprised if they do that, because like you said, that really just sets up Kongdoo Monster for their poke composition that they love to run.
And that's the only comp they've seen a lot of continued success with is poke comps. Surprisingly, they are very organized in the poke comp. They do ward their flanks. They do play smartly. SBENU's the team that struggled to avoid team fights and really play out the poke comps they've drafted with efficiency. Hell, we might even see double poke comps if both teams continue with what they've been trying to pilot all season. The Varus ban is confirmed, so one less sieging option. Maybe the Braum contest will be high just because both teams look best, at least in parts of the game, playing poke, and Braum is the famous support that has the unbreakable and can put that wall up and block some of those skill shots that inevitably are going to be coming out if both these teams continue with what's worked this season.
Yep. Could see a Jace, maybe. We've seen that a couple times this season. Even in the top lane.
Sarsen likes the Jace.
Yeah.
There's no someday, so we're not going to see top lane Jace.
I can dream.
A boy can dream.
I can dream, but Azir actually going to be banned away from Sarsen. So, you know, like I said, doing work on that just a couple days ago, so gets a respect ban out. And that's surprising. We haven't really seen Azir be picked up in too many other regions other than Korea so far. It's been played a couple times, but suddenly just coming back as a priority.
Jhin as the final ban with Kalista available is very surprising from the side of SBENU. Kongdoo don't even think twice. They insta-lock the Kalista. Sol has been one of their more consistent performers next to Edge this season. You're giving him a very lane-dominant AD carry, which empowers the support pick, if it is Braum, to really get down and dirty. Gangplank also makes it through. Expecting it's going to be Sol to play the Gangplank, but maybe they won't even draft it.
Be more likely than not to be Sol if they go for it, but looks like they're going to save the GP for another time. Could be picked up by Kongdoo Monster if they decide to go for it, but it will be Poppy and Corki coming in so far.
Definitely could be a poke comp when you see the Corki as the potential mid or bot lane flex pick, and Poppy's a great goalkeeper or a tank champion who can stand in the front, knock people away with their ultimate, or even be there for the flexible turret dives. So no real information about the SBENU comp in their first two picks, and now we're waiting for Kongdoo to just show us an identity. If they stay type, it's going to be the poke comp, but with Corki off the board, with Varus banned, and Nidalee banned as well, maybe going to have to be something different, and that is going to be the lock-in on the Kindred.
Yeah, so Kindred locked in for Crush. Been seeing a lot of Kindred in the last couple weeks. Not so many good Kindreds. A couple, a smattering of them, but for the most part, it's been pretty rough. We had a 33-minute Devourer game 2 days ago, so not so hot on the farming.
There was a 14-minute Kindred game the previous week, though, as Ambition really rushed the item down. So very polarizing. If your team is winning, if you have strong lanes and you're opened up to get Rift Herald and the other buffs, you can certainly pick up stacks. This is patch 6.5, so Rift Herald only giving the 2 stacks might send that timer back a little bit.
You can see Gragas and the Alistar are going to be snatched up here for SBENU, so Flawless is Gragas going to be coming out.
And you kind of have to look back at the early round Kindred pick. It was into just a Poppy at the time, but now Poppy, Gragas, Alistar, 3 champions with the ability to knock champions back, 3 champions that can really ruin the efficiency of the Lamb's Respite. So suddenly, team fighting with Kindred looks a little bit more imprecise, looks harder to pull off the Lamb's Respite utility. It's going to have to be more about Crush influencing the lanes early, dueling, very strong duelist, probably the strongest with Nidalee banned away. You're going to have to make that Kindred impact felt early because the team fight's so much less reliable with SBENU's draft.
Yeah. Now it's going to be the Trundle and the Lulu final lock-ins here for Kongdoo Monsters. You take a look at their composition. Nautilus will be more than likely in the top lane against the Poppy and Trundle on support. Could be either or. That is the more likely setup. So now picking into this Lulu, SBENU with a lot of options available to them. Let's see what they decide to go for.
Waiting to see what they draft last pick. I love seeing the hovers of Jarvan with 6.5. The Jarvan changes are in, so when he hits that ult, everyone in the AoE is going to be taking the damage. We will eventually see some full AD Jarvan, whether it's Gamsu over in Europe or somebody else. Someone will bring it back. But no, it's going to be more standard. So double AD on both sides. And I'm heavily expecting the top lane Trundle just because he does manage to get really into a position to outscale. In terms of split push, the 1v1 matchup in the late game, Trundle's able to just ignore those base damage values from Poppy and split push away. And Kalista able to send Nautilus into the back lines. Nautilus with 4 CCs and also the Fate's Call is going to be quite the initiator.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty good stuff there as far as initiation goes from Kongdoo Monster. If they can set up well. Of course, they do have to worry about the burst potential that Sawson's going to offer up on this Corki. That Kalista, if she steps out of line, just 1 inch, they can punish her immediately.
Absolutely right. With all the knockbacks, knockups, and the like. It's interesting, there's 2 very similar comps actually coming out in 9th versus 10th. The big thing Kongdoo have is the outscale with the Trundle versus Poppy, so 4-1 in the late game will actually suit them well. Both teams have good wave clear. There's a lot of comparisons. The only issue is that if we get into the late game team fights, Lamb's Respite, and the difficulty to pull it off, unless Crush is really on point, they're going to be struggling just because a lot more reliability in SBENU's comp in a 5v5. The potential's there for Kongdoo, but pulling it off, something they've struggled all season, going to be tricky.
Yeah, both of these teams have struggled immensely, so we'll see who's going to be able to, I was going to say out-struggle, but cause more toil for their opponents. Let's get into game 1. All right, pretty evenly split audience here. This could be a pretty good game. I think we're going to get some good action, at least hopefully.
We open the week with a nail-biter between the top 2 teams, and we end the week on a nail-biter between the bottom 2 teams. We have to keep mentioning this. SBENU having already lost to Afrika.
Oh, and already
tough matchups.
Getting a little bit of an engage. Nuclear takes a little bit of damage, but he's going to be all right.
We really have a league where 7 teams are fighting for the top 5, so nobody can afford to look past teams like Kongdoo Monster and SBENU at the bottom of the table. That's where they're going to have to bank their 2-0 wins, not even 2-1s, given the fact that how close the standings are. Overall game score might actually be a really big indicator on if you make it that 5th spot or just have to watch on from 6th or 7th. So no one's going to be looking past the SBENU matches, so you can't just tip them in any of those matches to win against the remainder teams they have. So this is their real chance. They want a match win for the season. And Kongdoo, if Kongdoo can stabilize, they'll most likely finish in 9th, which, given their lineup, given their struggles, would be a reward for them.
We can see a nice invade coming in here from Guger and Soul. It's going to push Flawless and Soul. Oh, God, we have double Souls.
Roll the Soul in Soul.
All right, well, yep, double Soul and Soul coming out, but a nice counter invade here by Nuclear and Secret on the opposite side of the map will be able to take away those little wolves.
Big one, the experience for that one.
Yeah, was smited away or smote away. I don't know the past tense of that. Be smited?
I like smited.
All right, we'll go with smited. But it's going to be a lane swap, so no 2v2 coming in this match, so that'll be good for both of these AD carries. Soul, especially on the Kalista, will be quite happy just garnering that CS for himself.
It's worth noting that both these 2v2s, both the duos are on the stronger side of laning duos. Alistar Lucian, Kalista lanes, enough said, but Kalista Nautilus, certainly there is quite a bit of synergy there in terms of the engage, so no real incentive for either team when it comes to avoiding the 2v2, but you could argue that Gragas will enjoy the fact that he doesn't have to worry about the Kindred pressure in terms of the 1v1 jungle matchup with the jungle follow. It's less going to be about Gragas and Kindred meeting in the jungle, more about meeting up with their teammates to push down these turrets. So avoiding any potential solo kills in the jungle will suit Flawless just fine.
Yep, Flawless a little bit ahead of Crush so far. Already makes it over to that blue buff and will be able to join his team. Help taking down that tower should it come to it.
It's not the first time we've seen this mid lane matchup, for sure.
Very, very common. Surprise, though. Rocks fanning away Lulu in both games against SKT tomorrow. They figured out the formula.
That's right. The faker one-trick Lulu has the Lulu banned away and just can't stand up to Rocks Tigers.
Yeah, finally lost a game on his head, too. Previously undefeated, and then now that's gone.
We have a lot of streaks come crushing down. Bang's Callista streak, of course, was one of the more famous ones. Now it's all about the Faker Riven, which, who knows, when we'll see that next. Assassin falls super low.
Yeah, really, really low. If Edge had been running Ignite in this mid lane, trying to go for that super aggro play, he could have gotten that kill. Assassin, of course, would have played differently in turn, so I guess can only judge so much. But yeah, good harass coming out so far for Edge. But they're still going to be pretty damn even in that mid lane. Don't think we're going to see any big discrepancies starting to come out. Looks like the biggest we have so far is just going to be these 80 carries. Nuclear only at 17. Soul, who's sitting pretty nicely at 24.
Seems like Trundle got the worst of the lane swap. Both teams didn't look for extra turrets as Flawless sniffing around mid lane, but
yeah, just coming to alleviate some pressure. Edge is still just walking right up into the face of adversity. Puts down those glitter lances on Assassin and has to get the heal out from him. Really ballsy play by Edge, and it pays off by getting the summoner spell.
Edge played that super well. What he did was, when he went for the first trade, he stood behind the cannon minions, so Flawless, he thought he had a clean spot to go in with the body slam, but body slam into the cannon, no damage coming through. Heal has to be popped by Assassin, so in a 2v1 scenario, the 1v2, the Lulu pulls out a summoner. That's actually a big win and should actually ensure that lane pressure for Lulu will be pretty much unavoidable. Assassin's just going to have to play that much more defensive.
Yeah, and just like that, sending him back to base, he's going to start slipping behind. That wave did crash into the tower. It was caught by Flawless, so the CS didn't go to waste, but obviously, you know, losing CS on your Quirky is going to hurt him getting to those big power spikes that he wants.
I don't think there's anything unique in the Runes of Mastery set up by Lulu, but we've seen so much Lulu this season that when we don't see Frost Queen's claim into Lichbane, we get excited just because it's something different.
It is. Well, for right now, we also have a lot of the same going on. Both of these teams just going to go ahead and trade more Tier 1 towers. We'll see how long the mid towers stay standing this time around.
Speaking of trades, let's trade up the neutrals as well.
Yep. It's going to be Dragon for the Rift Herald. So SBENU going to go ahead and start that 5th Dragon train rolling. Really early stuff here because of those tower takes. So 6-minute Dragon for SBENU Sonicboom. So it won't take them too long if they can continue the stacks to actually reach that 5th Dragon mark.
So statistically, this is a pretty big thing for SBENU as we're looking over the stats pre-match. And we found out that if SBENU doesn't get the first Dragon, they win 0% of the time.
Yep, but even when they get it, they win 30.8% of the time.
30.8 is a lot bigger than 0.
Yep. Kongdoo, though, only a 15.4% chance to win now that they've lost that first Dragon. So we'll see how the Rift Herald helps them out to try to counteract that pressure.
Look, stats are definitely misleading, but getting away from the 0% stat probably suits SBENU just fine.
Yeah, they want to avoid that as much as they possibly can.
I mean, overall, these two teams, 10 match wins on the season. So it's 10 game wins on the season, 51 losses. So very small sample size of winning matches for these statistics to be based on.
Double cull for these 80 carries, so just going to be looking to farm up and stack up.
In Korea, the lane swap is basically almost guaranteed that cull will be picked up. The reason for this is that with the slow push on the minion wave from the 80 carry, by the time the team's group is a 4 and push the turret back, they have enough gold for the cull. It's face check by Secret.
Yeah, face check here gets double pulverize, has to flash away. Big respect being shown. Would have gone down, only level 3 going up against that level 6 crush.
Though Alistair had the boot advantage. Have to remember that Kindred was riding the Rift Herald, so had that extra flat movement speed. So realized there was no way to get away. So smart flash in the end by Secret. Actually, both summoners used by Secret.
Yeah. Had to use the exhaust onto Hippo's Trundle to get himself alive. So very good prediction there by Kongdoo, knowing that he was going to come in, try to get that deep vision. And that's a pretty major engage tool down for Secret here. Once he hits that level 6 mark, not going to be able to get those flash pulverizes, you know, and headbutt Soul back as he would like to do. God, that's going to be so confusing. I'm just going to say Callista. Soul is Poppy, and the other one is just going to be Callista.
There's plenty of clarity. It's Soul and Soul. In Soul.
Soul and Soul and Soul.
Yep. Nothing to worry about.
The triple S's.
I'm looking forward to your team fight calls. They're going to be great.
Yeah. Without people, if people are listening to the broadcast rather than just watching it, like just doing the audio only, maybe on the mobile app for Twitch or something, it's going to be really confusing.
Every viewer is sacred. You must ensure that everyone gets the same quality of broadcast.
They all need to know.
About soul and soul and soul.
I apologize in advance for these team fights. Soul, though, getting aggressed on by Crush and Hippo. Killer comes down. Soul's just going to charge up that ultimate.
Misses.
Doesn't hit. That could be devastating. Has to flash away. There's no tower to retreat to. Gets a stun into the wall here for Hippo, but they're still just slowly whittling away on him, and he goes down. It's going to be Hippo coming up with the first blood.
And the big thing there is, of course, that Trundle will win the split push war later and gets him going. So his items are going to come earlier. The headaches for SBENU Sonicboom are going to come earlier. And Kongdoo capitalizing on the pressure they've created. Remember, they blew the heel of the mid laner. Then they got both summoners away from the support. SBENU have been forced to play defensively just because they had less tools available in terms of summoner spells. Kongdoo able to push up very aggressively in the top. Map pressure advantage for Kongdoo. Definitely there in the first 10 minutes of the game.
Yep. And you've seen it here. Wards save lives. Soul with no vision whatsoever in that bottom side of the map. He's too far forward, and Crush makes a very well-timed visit down to him. TP coming up in the top side. Nice flash away by Kalista. Will keep himself safe, but Soul has arrived with the teleport. Pop up onto Cougar, but that's going to be the Fate's Call. Drags him back in. Calling coming across. Cougar taking a lot of damage, but here comes Crush from the sideline. Slams respite available if he needs it, but they're just going to go ahead and have to disengage. Good arrival there by Crush, and that's going to be another summoner blown. 2 summoners blown there by SBENU. Flash down for the Gragas and the TP down for the
You
Poppy.
can see on the map here, Achilles, what the effect is. Remember, Soul just died for first blood, then had to use his teleport to make a play. They failed to get any kill involvement onto Soul, and the deep freeze from Hippo continues in the bot lane. Already going to be behind in effective gold, now way behind in CS. No way to enter that lane until Trundle finally pushes it up. The big discrepancy this game is going to be between the 2 top lanes.
Yeah, we're seeing that. 49 to 32. Really strong stuff, and Hippo is still just accruing more and more CS, and that's really worrisome for SBENU because they need that Poppy to be very tanky and be able to get into that back line and lock down Kalista. And if he can't get the CS to buy the items that he needs, then he's just going to get absolutely melted out in these team fights. So that double 80 threat is going to be really real as Crush gets that Devourer stacked up.
Kongdoo continues to convert their map pressure into a second Rift Herald. The first one bought them the flash and exhaust from Secret. Let's see if they can get more from the second one. They obviously want to push in more aggressively, but the only AD carry we've seen pick up the Rift Herald and really be critical in the use of that buff has been Sivir. When we see Sivir, they seem to extra prioritize the Rift Herald because between Sivir and the extra attack speed on the minions, turrets still do get knocked down very quickly.
Yep. You can see 3 members of Kongdoo waiting in this brush up here. Only Cougar and Soul going to show themselves, but Crush going to go ahead and back off. We'll go back into the jungle and continue the quest onward towards Sated.
The quest onward towards Sated. When you say that, Sated sounds like a place.
It is not.
I don't know, it's a pretty glorious place. When you build your Devourer, you're just dreaming of Sated. So.
Yeah, it's nice to finally reach it when you get it. Hopefully, for Crush's sake, he'll be able to get it before 32 minutes.
It seems likely when they have the map pressure in multiple lanes, when the split pusher in top is winning. This is the scenario where I can get behind the Devourer when you're not in your own base, not being able to pick up any camps. SBENU looking to get a second dragon though.
Yeah, so they are just picking these up pretty much as they spawn. So 12.5 minutes, second dragon goes down for SBENU. So 5th dragon could be a possibility for these guys if they can just hold on tight. So far it's 1.6 thousand gold lead here.
Double pink wards in the red side jungle.
Yeah, I'm going to be looking for some kind of pick onto Soul here in the top side. Secret's there as well, but he's not level 6. Good ward over the wall. We'll be able to spot them as they come out of the brush. But the question is it going to be fast enough? Flawless is here as well, throws out the barrel, and looks like Kongdoo just go, oh, shucks, we can't do this anymore.
I mean, diving onto Poppy, Alistair was already a pretty low percentage gank, even with the numbers advantage, but the moment Gragas showed his face, no real hope there, and now these pink wards probably end up being cleared away, so quite a bit invested for control of this side of the jungle, and potentially no reward for Kongdoo.
Well, they're looking for another gank as they sit in that brush near the Raptor pit, but looks like they're not going to be able to find too much. Soul recalling, going to get spotted out, takes a lot of damage from that barrel. But he will go ahead and hop himself away, and on the exit, Kongdoo Monster go ahead and clear out another pink ward.
Nuclear had a lot of free time and solo experience in bot. Kongdoo didn't find any reward with there being no Rift Herald to pick up on the top side of the map, so time wasted from Kongdoo.
Yeah. Which is good, because time is what SBENU needs right now. Time to get these items necessary and get towards that 5th dragon. And that's going to be Nuclear surpassing Soul now in CS. The F-Sword, double longsword with the call. He's going to be doing a good amount of damage after this back.
A lot of confidence from Kongdoo in being able to opt into the late game. We've got the outscale matchup. The Trundle, of course, needs to pile on some items, then he can really deal with Poppy in the side lanes. Devourer Kindred's going to want to pick up stacks, and it's going to be Rod of Ages, actually, from Edge. Another stacking choice. Usually Lulus are going for the earlier power spike of Frost Queen's Claim, of Morellonomicon, to get the most pressure out early, to make up for maybe scaling in other situations. But after running the early game, as well as Kongdoo did, blowing summoners on multiple members of the enemy team, they're investing in items that will only pay off later, so they can't really afford to fight dragons. The issue for them is that by the time all these items reach their full efficiency, they might have to be fighting for a 4th, a 5th dragon, where the margin...
Oh, flash body slam onto the Callista, gets booted back, popped up in the air with the Pulverize, and he is gonna go down. Nuclear finding that kill. Teleport's coming in here. One was canceled, the other one comes through. Crush is joining the team though, and the Poppy has arrived as well. They go on to Hippo, who is exhausted. Can they pin him to the wall? Looks like they're just gonna be chipping away at him. It's gonna be the body slam coming through. They boot him back with a headbutt. He has to flash away. Looks like we might just have a 1 for 0, but a nice and well-executed gank by SBENU, finding their first kill of the game.
Yeah, nice to see SBENU being proactive after being reactive for the first 15 minutes. Looks like they might even get good damage onto the inner turret, although for now it looks like they're going to back away. Neither mid laner could respond, so the moment one person went down, it was that extended 4v3, but nothing more than a kill as far as we can tell for SBENU.
Yeah, Sasin trying to get there, had the package available, would have been pretty huge in that team fight, but I think to arrive in time, he actually would have had to use the package just to close the distance. So not going to be able to join the team, not going to be able to net any more kills. But with that pickup, this is going to be SBENU almost evening out the gold lead here, just 300 separating these teams now. So doing a good job of swinging it back.
The worry now is that at 15 minutes, Rod of Ages complete, Devourer complete. So the immediate value of those items is pretty low. We're looking at 30 minutes before realistically they pay off. At that point, SBENU may already have 4 dragons. And the point I was trying to make is mess up around 1 dragon fight with your fully stacked items. You're going to be dealing with 5th dragon super early and potentially a loss. So let's see if this investment from Kongdoo, sorry, will pay off.
Yep. And we know SBENU is a team that is not afraid to go for these objectives. We saw a very early dragon take 2 days ago before Someday ruined their day. We saw it was about a 23, 22 minute Baron, and they almost got it, if not for that miraculous steal.
They also had 3 dragons before 20 minutes, so certainly on course for a repeat in terms of neutral control from SBENU.
Yeah, so wouldn't be too surprising if we see SBENU going for these. And you can see this is going to be their first Rift Herald. Don't think that Kongdoo really care about it, so they're not even going to answer. Looks like ping's coming out. They might just try to pressure and take down that tier 2 tower in the bot lane.
So the one thing for Kongdoo here is that if they set up around the bot side, theoretically they'll be able to kite back and pick up their first dragon because they have control over this blue side jungle. Wow, that's a lot of value from one ultimate.
That was a hell of a lot of value. Knocks him off the tower, will stop it from taking any more significant damage. With the arrival of Sasin, that's just going to have to be them hightailing it out. No dragon for them to fall back on. That doesn't spawn for another minute and 5 seconds, so good plays here by SBENU so far.
They need to be careful with their lane assignments. What I want to see them do is actually send the Lulu to clear out waves, just because Hippo is about 2 minutes away from picking up his teleport, so would not be able to respond if Dragon is rushed by SBENU, which again has been their modus operandum. So for now, it looks like SBENU are in the best spot to set up around Dragon, and unless Kongdoo hightail towards it, might have to deal with a 5v4 scenario.
Sasin keeping things close here in the mid lane as well. Still down 8 CS, but not too bad considering he had to blow his summoners early and get sent back to lane, so doing well to try to remain on even ground. See more pink wards and more brush ganks coming through. Flawless probably gonna have to peel out of here because Googer and the rest of the team are waiting in the wings. Kongdoo fearlessly just going to push forward, and looks like Kongdoo Monster are pretty well established to go for this dragon as it spawns.
And again, they have the items. Aegis very quickly completed by Flawless. Trinity Force, a massive one-item power spike. Trinity Force Corki, we talked about it for years. Finish that item, and probably the strongest one-item power spike of any champion in the game. In general, SBENU have spent their gold on immediate stats, so they are in prime position to take this dragon, and Kongdoo are going to have to be so on point with their contest, otherwise multiple kills and a third dragon seems likely, at least based on the items completed.
Yeah, looks like to start things off, we might have a little skirmish around this mid lane, maybe try to weaken each side.
5 seconds till Soul gets his teleport.
Yeah, that's going to be Fate's call, actually. They throw him in, can't get in range, so pretty big cooldown is used. That's a big part of their engage. Of course, that is going to be a Nautilus, so he still has plenty more engage to go. But now Soul roaming down to this mid side. Looks like we might have all 5 members here momentarily. Hippo, teleport available, splitting up that top side of the map. Let's see what SBENU can do.
Dragon started.
Yep, Dredgeline's not going to connect. Very nice Valkyrie away by Saucin. TP's coming through straight in the brush. Flawless still in the pit. Being chunked down to about half HP, trying to get that dragon. But Cougar is going to get engaged on, and he is going to go down. Nuclear finding the first kill of the fight. Very nice ultimate by Soul. Sends the Kindred flying out, and that's going to be the smite away, confirmed by Nuclear. So third dragon going over to SBENU Sonicboom. Now on the run, a very nice barrel to knock him away. Soul, though, has to flash the wall to get himself to safety. But just like that, SBENU find themselves a gold lead, a kill, and the dragon.
And the poppy ult from Soul was really nice, taking away one of the big damage threats, but crucially, the smite as well. He needed to do it. Flawless actually miss-smited, had it down to 50 health. It was actually secured by Nuclear, of all people, but they do get the dragon. So the execution, not the cleanest. They get the dragon nonetheless. They have 3 stacked now, but they're going to have to give up the mid lane turret.
Yeah, so don't get away with everything. They do lose that mid tower, so it's going to give the gold advantage. Actually, not even. I thought it was going to go back over to Kongdoo, but they're staying neck and neck, both of these teams. So very close. We're having a lot of skirmishes as well in this fight, just not many kills coming out of them.
Mentioned it in pick and ban. The team comps are pretty similar. The only real difference between the teams, again, has been the scaling investments from Kongdoo and the immediate power from SBENU. And so far, SBENU's got exactly what they were looking for. 3 dragons, looking at a 32-minute 5th dragon, which is very much on the early side of things. And okay, they already showed that sometimes their accuracy with things like smite, sometimes their immediate decisions aren't the best, but if you stack a couple of 5th dragons, eventually you'll pick up the win.
Yep. Playing quite far forward here against Flawless and Secret.
Boy.
Oh, the pink ward doesn't go in the brush.
Speaking of execution, are we calling it the BDD ward after he missed the lane brush?
Yeah, and that cost him his life too.
Well,
I don't think that this one will cost anybody their lives.
Hey, a jungle giving up 75 gold is still
Oh yeah, no, that's
not ideal.
not ideal at all. We'll just go ahead and get spotted out. I'm sure Kongdoo chuckled as they killed that one.
A freebie.
Thanks for the money. Yeah, this is Nuclear. He's had a lot of time to just sit back and farm. We can see he's actually stretched a pretty significant lead here for himself over top of the Callista.
So a couple of times
picked up for him, as well as the rapid fire cannon.
So a couple of times we're just alone in a side lane, no engage coming through, so no punishment for a solo farm. He has a good amount of levels as well, so it's Nuclear certainly doing just fine.
Both of the kills as well for SBENU, so he's going to be pretty well set as far as money goes. We can see the Zeal just coming in here for Soul as he's trying to get that Hurricane out. He's going to be significantly behind in damage compared to Nuclear. We see Tower getting ready to go down. Can the minions finish it off? They do. Just like that, SBENU equalizing tower count and getting a little bit more of a lead.
And between the minions and the burn of the second dragon they've had for quite some time. Easy to pick up those objectives. Also suits them if they're in the 4-1 or the 1-3-1 scenario, because both their split pushes have that burn on auto attack. So in a really good spot as SBENU, and Kongdoo again waiting for scaling. And proactive and reactive plays, that's what League of Legends has really become about. And Kongdoo have opted into being reactive in multiple lanes, and if they watch the 4th dragon come through, if they watch SBENU just get more and more map pressure, they really only have themselves to blame.
Yep. Surprisingly, Soul actually now has surpassed Hippo as well, where before he was pretty far behind in CS. finding a lead for himself. Pretty good stuff. Ultimate's on point so far. So Soul looking to have a really strong performance here in game 1 for SBENU.
Top lane's always been a position in the SBENU lineup that's been up for grabs. Soul and Saw have been fighting for that position with no clear winner for 2 seasons. Yeah, any MVP performances from top lane will really impact whether you see game time in the rest of the season, just because splitting those 2 top laners, their champion pool, their play styles, apart from one of them being a Riven main, there's really little to differentiate the 2, so take your chances when you can, I guess, from Soul.
And you know, looking at the MVP scores, you can see top lane is pretty much the role that's going to be the most impactful in the game in the current meta.
Iksu with 800 points from Afrika, even though they're languishing
So
in 7th
weird.
spot, 8th spot even.
It's so weird to me that he's that high up.
I gotta say, of all champions, Poppy has probably got the most MVPs this season, because Iksu's got at least 5 on Poppy.
Smab as well.
Someday.
Yeah. Poppy, the easiest way, the fast track to MVP.
The ultimate, the Keeper's Verdict, so flashy whichever way you use it. Is it the big knock up? Is it the knock back? Honestly, it wins fights, and it's mission success on the rework, Riot, with Poppy.
It just has some of the best interactions possible.
It just does so many different things as well. The note button, the engage button.
I just love the all of the little weird interactions that happen with it, with the dredge line hook straight back in after you get knocked away as Nautilus.
Tom
or
Kench.
the Tom Kench. I'm going to eat you and we're going to go for a ride.
It is a lot of fun, but
Pretty funny.
the strategic uses, that's the fun thing. It's not just it's not just Malphite ult, but the flexibility of knocking an enemy out of a fight. You know, we always talk about death as the hardest CC, but if you're 3 screens away, it's a pretty strong CC as well.
Yeah, it's the execution on that ultimate is so crucial, especially in those late game team fights, because as we saw in that dragon fight earlier, it eliminates the threat of an opponent's smite. So it's really crucial to make sure you land those. Whenever you see a Poppy ultimate completely whiff, that's pretty harmful to your team and its possible success.
We often see evolution in mechanics in League of Legends. Of course, there was a time before Lee Sin kicks were a thing. Then Insect came on, the scene and everything changed. Then Gragas, for example, his ult was thought of as a damage tool. Then Gragas was changed, and it was more about the bounce back. How long is it before we see people trying to do their best to flash away? As we might see an engage.
Yeah, Cougar's going to go in, gets the dredge line onto Secret, who pops the ultimate. Cougar almost going down already. Nice Keeper's Verdict, knocking 2 away. And now they're just targeting onto Soul. Soul going deep here, but now has to back off. Crush throws down the Lambs Respite, trying to stay alive. But it's only going to do so much. Nobody falling on either side quite just yet, but several members of Kongdoo Monster are very low. Low enough that I don't think they're going to be able to contest this 4th dragon, which is sent spawn.
Now, Guga tried to initiate, but support Nautilus is certainly a far cry from the tankiness of Top Knot. Almost died instantly. Looks like SBENU are going to get a free dragon. All Kongdoo can do is kind of cheat towards the top of the map and threaten Baron. But with their low health bars, no way they could realistically do it. 4th dragon at 26 minutes. Now we have a headache every 6 minutes further into this game for Kongdoo Monster.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, the way that they've been looking in these last team fights, very scattered. And like you said, Cougar not tanky at all.
Exactly, Guga, so literally 4 autos in the queue, basically dies, and from there, the front line is taken away. It was a nice engage onto the Kindred, but the ult is used before Lamb's Respite times out, so they do get the heal value. Nobody dies, but SBENU, the amount of pressure they get is the big story. It gets them that 4th dragon, and now it's going to be so execution heavy from Kongdoo, and SBENU's proactiveness around dragon is what's winning them this game. The time that Kongdoo spent scaling, scaling's not even done. It's still not the Devourer on the side of Kongdoo, and 27 minutes, not quite 33, but it's getting close.
Rough stuff from Kongdoo. Not playing well in these team fights, and SBENU playing the objective game much better than their opponents at the moment. Now with that 4th dragon, they already have a very tanky lineup with the Alistar, with that Gragas and the Poppy. Power damage reduction now. They're going to be able to sit under those turrets for an eternity. Oh, that's right on the edge.
Things like the 4-1 split for Kongdoo going to be more difficult just because there's no way to bait around the dragon. SBENU are going to have the ascendancy there. It's going to be Kongdoo. They're going to have to make the earlier teleports and contest instantly. Soul for now actually able to match Trundle's split push, so we're not even in outscale territory just yet.
Still just going to have both of those top laners down the bottom side. Flawless gets grabbed over by the dredge line. Here comes the damage again onto Cougar. He did use the depth charge on Sasin, but he doesn't take too much damage. Summoner spell still available, so just a little bit of a scuffle, but that's going to be the ultimate down for the Nautilus. SBENU could look for a fight. Speaking of fights, Soul and Hippo up on this top side of the map, just trying to out-pressure each other with the split push. Looks like Fate's call down as well, so both of the ultimates being used by the bot lane of Kongdoo Monster. 2
Fate's call, which we've seen for 0 gain, so have to really put the question mark, I guess, on Soul. I mean, the communication around that ability is always 50-50, or whoever the shot caller is between the duo lane in terms of calling for it to be used, but completely inefficient uses for such a team fight changing ultimate, punishing Kongdoo, and SBENU just keep on trucking on, keep on doing what they've done for the first 29 minutes, and so far, no one can blame them.
Yeah, really good stuff from these guys. Looking a little nippy at the beginning. You know, some overextension costing them their lives, but
well, let's come back to that. They overextended, they lost a heal and mid. They overextended, Alistair lost both summoners, but Kongdoo never took advantage of that. They instead went to buy these scaling items. They were happy to swap Rift Heralds for Dragons, and one of my fears when Dragon was retuned was that the value of Dragon just went higher when 2nd and 4th buffs became more desirable. And now you're in a scenario where those Rift Heralds basically counted for nothing apart from gold from a Kongdoo Monster perspective. And SBENU have really banked win conditions by focusing on that objective.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't even get the 5 stacks anymore. Again, 6.5. So you're not going to be getting 5 stacks for that Devourer.
Crucially, he didn't even have Devourer complete for any of those 3. It's maybe the 3rd Rift Herald.
I think he did, yeah.
But not the first 2, so yeah, very little value. 30 minutes passes, once again, no Sated Devourer from Crush.
Yeah, that is very bad. To put it bluntly, we saw a 33-minute game 2 days ago, and that was really bad.
Is interesting, by the way.
I don't know. I like bad.
You like calling a spade a spade?
Why not? Why sugarcoat it? This is the 9th and 10th place teams right now.
In some ways, that's been apparent, but SBENU have been organized. They were organized versus KT. They were winning until, you know, they had 3 dragons. That was a smart 2-man Baron that surprised all of us that a Z release could do that. And then the punishment was extreme and the game turned from there. There's still the chance that such a watershed moment happens in this game, but
it's quite possible.
None of those sort of mistakes so far from SBENU.
Yep. See, the Mortal Reminder has come in for Nuclear.
22 stacks. That is really, really low.
Yeah, 8 more to go. That's pretty rough stuff, and he's got 2 camps available on his side of the jungle. So it's going to be even longer before he can get that unless he makes some evasive plays. Dragon getting ready to spawn, though, in a minute. If he had that Devourer for a team fight, it could make things go so much differently, but
I don't know if it changes that much from Kongdoo. Like, on a simple level, of course, it's more damage, but we've mentioned it. The backup win condition for Kongdoo wasn't the 5v5 team fighting, it was the split push. And so far, the split push has been answered completely by Soul, who hasn't been out-pressured at all, despite the Trundle versus Poppy matchup. The big issue for Kongdoo is that even though the team comps are similar, Flawless can answer the Lamb's Respite. Pulling off the Lamb's Respite is going to be so tough to pull off when you have 3 different knockbacks on the side of SBENU Sonicboom. We're going to see a big fight, and unless we see significant execution issues from SBENU, I just don't really see how in a 5v5 they can truly stack up, barring a pick. It has to be the pick of all picks onto SBENU.
So now if you're SBENU, do you just try to go for this 5th dragon, or do you say, you know what, you can take the 1st dragon, and we'll just go take Baron?
The threat of the 5th dragon gives you those options, so the clear shot call needs to come through from SBENU. That is an option open to them, but they need their minion waves in the right spot. That's been something they've struggled with all season. Looks like it might be deathmatch time, though.
Yep, this is going to be Hippo on the roam down. Soul waiting in the jungle. Surprised he's not back at base and trying to use the home guards here.
Nobody is. 3 teleports, no one looking for a flank.
Yep, Dragon's been started up though. Nuclear trying to chip away at it. It's going to get the reset, however. And right now we just have a standoff going across this one little line of the river. Neither team wanting to really pull the trigger. Dragon down to half HP. Soul boots out. Doesn't actually get the boot out on Crush. He's still here to try to smite this away. The Dragon resetting and healing back up. Kongdoo in a pretty strong spot. Triple knock up. Sassen has to go over the wall, but Guger goes down. They pin Crush into the wall. It's going to be the Wild Growth coming through for him. Lamb's Respite has to get dropped. Now the Poppy being taken quite low. Soul on the run, but here comes the culling, and Sassen, meanwhile, finishes off Info. That's 5th Dragon going over to SBENU Sonicboom. And they have blown this game wide open. Flash forward, Sassen, he takes down Crush. He's gonna find Soul. Nuclear finishing him off, and it's just Edge standing. Here comes Soul. He went back to base and TPN. Not gonna be able to find the Lulu, but with that 5th Dragon, SBENU can take so much off the map.
The minions interrupting the home guard. He went for a lane ward, or went for the flank around the lane, but we're going to see a replay. The big story here is, okay, the reset happened, so the Dragon goes back, no one's picked it up, but Guga tries to frontline again, level 10, no items, it's a support Nautilus. The re-engage happens. Dragon once again is resetting, but this is the problem with team fights. You only see the Lamb's Respite when Crush is completely DPS down, no way to kite back. SBENU win 5v5 team fights because of the lack of reliability of pulling off the kindred moves. 5th Dragon, Sassen, good to see aggression from him. He struggled all season. People die when you're against 5th Dragon, especially against 5th Dragon Cork.
Yeah, and Nuclear as well, doing a lot of damage in that fight too.
Meanwhile, at Baron.
Yep, Baron goes down right as Crush spawns. SBENU, no steal this time. Go ahead and pick that up. 5th Dragon and Baron. I don't think you could ask for better win conditions if you're SBENU Sonicboom.
That's the tick, right? If you could just guarantee that. KT Rolster were basically playing 5th Dragon Baron win condition for the first 3 weeks of the season with their Fiora split push, and we return to this game, and it's been organized from SBENU. Again, much in the same way that their first game against KT Rolster was. It kind of makes you look back and wonder what could have been if that Baron was confirmed in game 1 versus KT.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think they would have taken the set, but that first game, it's very possible for them. They were in such an advantageous position before that.
You know, it's a team with 4 game wins, so you take the games when you can.
Yep. Oh, Guger goes forward, takes so much damage from the Corki. That's just absolutely disgusting. Fate's call, they actually throw him back in. Nuclear gonna get popped up in the air. Lamb's Respite keeping Guger alive, but it's going to expire soon. He goes back in on the Sassen, but immediately falls for it. Crush goes down as well. Edge on the run. Soul just taking up this front line. That's gonna be the tier 2 tower. 45 seconds on the Kindred, 30 on Guger. How much of the base can they take away?
The Fates calls this game Achilles, once again going in as a level 10 Nautilus against 4 people riding the 5th Dragon buff, and everyone having Baron. We really don't know what's happening in the use of Fate's call. It's been desperately poor. Will they finish the game off here? Sassen gets DPS'd out, so maybe not, but here comes a super minion wave.
Yeah, there's still 5th Dragon, and all the tanky members on the side of SBENU are quite healthy. Soul going deep, trying to get onto the Callista, not going to be able to finish him off, but he knocks him away from the rest of the team, long enough for the Nexus Towers to fall. Now it's do or die time for Kongdoo Monster, but I don't think they're going to be able to do anything. Nexus falls, and SBENU, looking extremely strong, are taking game 1.
Yeah, SBENU, desperate for their first match win of the season, finally pull one off. And the great thing about it is that, you know, I've been a pretty harsh critic of SBENU. They've drafted poke comps and team fought when they didn't need to, but they drafted a comp that played well around Dragon. They've drafted a comp that had clear power spikes. They played to them. There's a couple of execution errors, but you can overlook that when they played so smartly for the 36 minutes of this game, and they pick up a well-deserved victory. The question marks are actually on Kongdoo. The use of the Fate's call, 4 out of 5 that I saw were desperately poor. Opting into all these scaling items when they were just watching dragons fall around them, prioritizing the Rift Herald and getting nothing with it. It was certainly a 9th versus 10th place game, but SBENU, by far the better team in game 1.
Yep, really strong stuff, and look at that, we get Happy Sassen. Something that we very rarely see.
Very low kill count game, 9-4, but Sassen, 4-1-4, so 8 out of 9 kill participation for him.
Yeah, really good stuff. That Corki damage was appallingly good.
We don't have the damage dealt chart on our screens just now, but I bet it was really high.
Yeah, I think that if we did, it would just say a lot. It wouldn't even just give us a number.
Probably in Korean though, so we'd have to really consider Hangul translations.
I will defer that to you. My Hangul is not really existent yet. I need to learn that still.
Mine's not much better, but you know what is existing? A game win for SBENU Sonicboom, and that hasn't happened much times this season.
No, it really hasn't. When we come back, we're going to see if they can take this set or if Kongdoo is going to even things out.